Okay, with this video, this is only if you are going to use VM Workstation from the lab there on campus. You may need to do this on VM Player from home. Probably not. So again, this is only if you're going to use VM Workstation in the lab. So you have to, in order for you to be able to ping and do all those other network sort of things, you need to add the IP or the addresses which amount to the network configuration for the virtual machine. If we go on 6A is this particular video, and I'll complete that. On 6B, these are the IP addresses that you can use. So again, use only if you're using VM Workstation for all exercises beyond this assignment. Let me click on this particular file. It should load up as a text file. Well, actually it's a page, isn't it? Again, use only if you use VM Workstation for all exercises. So this is important. You will not need an IP address if you only create a VM to complete assignment 3. If you're just loading the VM, loading Linux, and then taking those couple of snapshots and submitting it, and intend to use either VM Player from home or on your notebook, or using the school's Linux server, you don't need to do this. You don't need an IP address. Also, use IP addresses only if you are intending to use a VM you installed in the lab for all following chapter assignments. And then, again, if you're using VM Player on your notebook, your Linux installation will essentially piggyback your notebook's IP address. Okay, and that should work for all exercises. Now, if you aren't, though, for VM Workstation installations, the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. It's a /24 subnet mask. Your gateway is 1048.7.254. Domain umh.umt.edu. DNS is at 10.10.4.1 and 10.10.4.2. And for each particular user, each specific user, Tafe A, Matthew B, Anthony C, and so on, these are the IP addresses that you can use. Now I'm going to go ahead and use 1048.7.05 for this presentation. So remember where these are. I'm going to go into my VM. Again, as I log out, or I get back into my VM, it's going to ask me for my password and unlock it. I've got my VM. Now, to get to the networking components, the networking parts, go to Computer, YAST, enter the password. I'll enter Sean, and it should load the YAST Control Center. I'm looking for network devices because I have to put an IP address on my network interface card. And then, if I'm looking through here, and network settings. That's what I'm looking for, network settings. And again, this particular desktop is a GNOME desktop. So I have to go ahead and configure this. Now, by default, it's an Ethernet network card using DHCP. Now, remember what DHCP means. That means the box just logs on and asks the server for an IP address. We want to change that. So we need to go ahead and edit. We need to make sure that this is a statically assigned IP address. The IP address is going to be, in my case, where is it? 10. Let's come on there. There we go. I'm using my 10-key keypad, and I need to change numlock initially on this initial installation here. 10.48.7. I think I said 5 is what I'm using. Okay, the subnet mask, you can either put in a /24 or 255.255.255.0. And host name, I'm just going to call it Sean. That is good enough. Next, so you'll click on Next, bottom right hand corner of that dialog box. Okay, so you can see Ethernet device 0, IP address 1048.7.5, subnet mask here. Now, the host name DNS, I want to go ahead and call this Sean. Remember, that's under host name and host name, and I'm just going to call it Sean.com. We don't, actually, I'm going to call this Linux.com. This really doesn't matter a lot. These settings really don't matter a lot at this point. In web server administration, they will. And then name server 1. Remember the name servers I gave you? 10. What was it? 10.4.1. I did the same thing. There's my 10. My numlock is off. 10.10.4.1. Okay. And then my routing, my gateway, 10.48.7.254. And I OK this. It writes the network configuration settings. And what we should be able to do when this is finished, because the deal with Linux is that even though you have a GUI, it still writes that network information, those configuration settings, to a file. Okay, so it still writes it to a file, a configuration file, and we need to go out and confirm that this is working for us. So we should be able to go out to computer, and remember in the last video we used this terminal program. It should be on your desktop or right here on this window. If not, just remember you can go to More Applications, and we'll twiddle our thumbs. And if this isn't going quickly enough, you should be able to go to More Applications and find it. I'm just going to go to here and drag it up on my desktop. You see how I did that? And then just go to my terminal. Okay. Sometimes we get busy enough here, and you saw with the video stuff running and all those other things running that the response time is a little bit laggy here on this box. So let me pause it. Okay, we should be running on the video again now. I had to wait for a little bit to bring this terminal window up, and I had the other application screens come up as well. So we're back to this point. We can see we're at Sean on this particular box. That's my username, and the box name is Sean. The host name is Sean. So at this point, I should be able to go I should be able to type in ifconfig. On Windows boxes, it's ipconfig is the command, all one word, but ifconfig on Linux boxes. And if I hit enter on that, oh yes, I remember. Note this. As a regular user, I need to go ahead and specify my directory I find ifconfig in. So I'll type sbin/ifconfig. Now as root, you don't have to. Okay, as a regular user you do. For Ethernet 0, it's showing that this is the MAC address, the hardware address, no problem. The internet address is 1048.75. Okay, that's what we had entered. The subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 or /24. So we should be able to, the network interface card is working correctly. We should be able to ping 10.48.7.5. It's replying. I need to hit Control-C to go ahead, notice Control-C, to stop the ping requests. Linux will continue to give you ping requests until you stop it, or note how many ping requests you want. And you should be good to go on that. At that point, if you're using VM Workstation within the lab and you need to do the pings and you do trace routes and you do all those different kinds of things, it should work wonderfully for you. So at that point, thank you.